That was Mother's Day weekend that we found out that a body was found up on a mountain.
A New Jersey councilman traveled to Oklahoma to help authorities locate his missing daughter in May 2009. But if it wasn't for a paraglider, her body may have never been found. Jody Rilee's body was found at the top of the mountain. Detectives had observed drag marks leading up to the scene. Whoever placed her body there knew very well that no one would traverse that far out. Not even hunters would have stumbled on it. But somewhere in Wister, Oklahoma was another father putting the puzzle pieces together. It took him 8 years to come forward with information leading to Jody's killer. In the week leading up to her disappearance, Jody was telling her contacts that she was going to a funeral in New Mexico for someone related to her husband. She would leave on Thursday. However, the Tuesday before the scheduled day, her husband and his extended family journeyed to New Mexico without her. The funeral was to be held on Friday. During the trip, Bo told Mrs. Rilee, Jody's mom, that his wife chose not to come but offered to let them bring baby Annabelle. It was only a few months ago that the 23-year-old got married and her daughter Annabelle was born. Her newfound romance started just months after leaving the suburbs of Jersey to relocate to Oklahoma to live with a great aunt in 2008. That was a huge transition from the hustle and bustle of New Jersey to a town of 1,000 people. This move in part was probably related to the breakup she was dealing with at the time.
And she said, you know what, I need to just get away and breathe. And, she chose Oklahoma because she had family out there.
Her friends were stunned to hear she was getting married and having a baby in a small town called Wister. Jody was getting married to Bo Wilson, a mechanic for a natural gas company. Her friends knew the wedding was going to happen. Jody was not going to back out. Lisa Anderson, her childhood friend, shared that she knew Jody as the kind of gal who, when she made up her mind, she would stick to her guns. The couple tied the knot in September 2008, and a baby Annabelle was born in January 2009. Lisa told investigators the new mom was head over heels in love with her little girl. Everything was about Annabelle. All seemed to be going well, though in her husband's neck of the woods, Jody felt she was butting heads all too often with her in-laws. Their disagreement was mostly in situations surrounding Annabelle. So when family and friends heard she let her infant go on the trip without her, they knew something was off.
She would not let them take the baby and her stay behind.
The last time anyone heard from Jody was on the same day the family left for the funeral. On Tuesday, May 5th, 2009, Jody Rilee Wilson had just finished making a few calls to let her loved ones know she had lost her phone and would be attending the funeral. At the time, she was using Bo's cell phone. The following day, Mrs. Rilee sent her daughter an email, but there was no reply. The more emails she sent, she was met with the same results. Mrs. Rilee reached out to Bo, who communicated that the family left for the funeral Tuesday night instead of Thursday, but Jody suddenly opted to stay behind for work. Her mother thought this was strikingly odd. But indeed, Jody had just started working for Avon and often spoke of how she enjoyed strolling her daughter around on her sale visits. After the funeral, Bo and his family returned on Saturday. He came home to an empty house. The dogs weren't fed, and there was a rain-soaked package outside. When he opened the package, they found the locket Stacy had sent to Jody for Mother's Day. When the Rilees heard about this, they knew something was really wrong. Jody's father, James Rilee, who had acted in the capacity of township mayor, was a Roxbury councilman at the time, flew down to report her missing. However, authorities had already discovered her body. What no one knew then was that just 2 days earlier, a paraglider flying over the Poteau Mountain, 15 miles from Jody's home, was getting a bird's eye view of horror. He looked down and spotted what appeared to be a body in a trash bag. It took authorities 2 days to identify the body. Sadly, the death of Jody Rilee was confirmed on Sunday, Mother's Day. The medical examiner was not able to determine the cause of her death because her body was badly decomposed. It was confirmed that she had been dragged into the woods after she died. A toxicology report indicated no evidence of drug abuse. James Rilee called his wife to tell her the crushing news about their daughter.
That was devastating. And Mother's Day has never been the same since.
Jody's friends also arrived in Worcester. They put up posters seeking information in the weeks following her murder. A month later, her 2002 Chevy Trailblazer was found in the parking lot of a restaurant in Henrietta, Oklahoma, 100 miles from Worcester. The restaurant owner of the Pig Out Palace says the doors were unlocked and the key was inside the ignition when he had it towed away. Unfortunately, this discovery did not bring forth any leads. Oklahoma authorities said that by late 2009 they had exhausted all clues and had just one agent assigned to the case while juggling other duties. But there was a secret a friend of Jody kept for her. Jody and Lisa were at a bar to meet some of her friends.
We had only been there for a few minutes when somebody had come in the door and thrown a set of car keys, and it hit Jody in the back of the head. I kind of stood up out of my seat not knowing what was going on, and one of her friends just grabbed my arm and said, "Don't get involved, that's Bo."
After the incident, Jody sworn her to secrecy. As the years went by, Jody's loved ones watched as her death was not mentioned in local media anymore. The town of Worcester seemed to have forgotten about Jody's murder. Then 8 years later, the father who had information about the murder came forward. The Oklahoma man was Bo's father. It is not certain what made him decide to talk after such a long time, but what he revealed helped solve the murder of the Roxbury graduate. Jerry Wilson spilled the beans on his family in May 2017 as he spoke with an OSBI investigator. He revealed that about a year after Jody's body was found, Bo told him he put plastic over Jody's face and smothered her to death the day they left for the funeral. Jerry told detectives that he did not know Jody was dead until Mother's Day when her body was identified. Shortly after speaking to the agent, Wilson Sr. did an interview with the media regarding the murder. He acknowledged he witnessed events that should have raised suspicions. He dismissed them because he didn't put two and two together back then. Based on affidavits, Jerry recalled his wife Kathy Wilson talking to Bo when he arrived that Tuesday. His wife wasted no time in deciding to help her son. She came in the room while he was playing with his granddaughter Annabelle and said she was going to help get rid of the body. Busy playing, he didn't pay too much attention to it. However, he recalled the trip, which was planned for Thursday, was hastily carried out on Tuesday as Kathy came back home and said they needed to leave for the funeral. Jerry and Kathy got into their car and went to the restaurant in Henrietta. This was a 24-hour buffet joint off the Interstate Route 40 exit. While there, Bo soon appeared. He got into Jerry and Kathy's car, and they traveled to New Mexico. When Jerry inquired about Jody's whereabouts and about leaving her car behind, Kathy said Jody was staying there, meaning staying at home, while Bo said Jody would pick the car up in the morning. Wilson Sr. shared that Jody was planning to take Annabelle and visit her parents in Roxbury, and that his son did not want her to go, thinking she wouldn't return. By 2017, several things have changed within the Wilson family. Jerry was living in a rehabilitation home. Kathy had been his estranged wife for quite some time. In May, Edith Catherine Wilson had a court order issued to evict Jerry Don Wilson from the home after claims of him threatening her life. Bo, 39, he became a preacher and was remarried with family. But Wilson Sr. was no stranger to the law. He had been charged with assault on 2 prior occasions. OSBI agents noticed minor discrepancies in the story he told the media versus what he offered to them. But Jerry coming forward was enough to get a search warrant on August 16th, which sought the DNA of Edith Catherine Wilson and her son Donald Lee Bocephus, Bo Wilson. The judge believed that there was probable cause for finding evidence of first-degree murder. Authorities were looking to compare their DNA with evidence found in Jody's SUV. Ultimately, they did. In September 2017, Bo Wilson was charged with first-degree murder, and his mom had been charged as an accomplice after the fact. Both took a plea deal and received reduced sentences. Expecting to face life in prison if convicted, Bo's plea deal offered him 5 years in prison. He was credited for time served and would be released from prison sometime after 3 years. Kathy Wilson also pleaded no contest and was found guilty by a judge of obstructing a public officer. She received a 1-year sentence and was credited for the time she'd spent in jail. She was released shortly.
We hope there's justice for Jody, and that's what we want the most, to her death to be vindicated and justice.
Yeah, without question.
The Rileys were not pleased with the plea deal, and to top it off, they had to wait 2 years after Jody's death for a judge to grant them unsupervised visits with their granddaughter. Annabelle stayed in Oklahoma. She lived with her dad and her grandma. Fortunately, after 8 years, Jody's parents received permanent custody of her. Annabelle is now being raised in the same home Jody grew up in. Soon, James Rilee made a life-changing decision. The New Jersey councilman retired from his post to be able to spend more time with his family. He made sure he was there 100% for his grandchild.